What would it take to make a game that's fun to play for longer than it took to build it? I took a crack at trying to figure this out. I figured a good place to start would be a game that's simple to learn but hard to master. Something that you can just play again and again and again, getting a little better each time. No meta progression, just implicit value after each time I play. I knew it needed to feel good, so I decided on building this pattern recognition matching type of game that had some animations and some sounds. But it can't just feel good. I want little tasks and little rewards, and I decided to make those little tasks and rewards in the form of little musical notes. But something so simple is going to get boring pretty quickly, so we'll introduce a challenge in the form of the core logic. So now I actually have to find the matches. And this is nice and zen, but for me personally, it's going to get stale pretty quickly. That is, unless there's some pressure. And so with just that, now I'm getting stressed out trying to find the matches I need and trying to find them quickly. If I'm going to be applying myself, there better be some signal on how well I'm doing. We'll, put that in the form of some score. And you can see we're still completing these little tasks like we were before, but now there's a point to doing it. And I added some stats to obsess over too. Things like how many matches you got, what was the most time you got on the clock, how quickly did you get to various checkpoints throughout the game. And more would show if I got further in this demonstration. I also put down a bunch of deltas. So to give you a sense of how the game works, we'll jump over to the actual game itself. And this is the tutorial. So matches can take the form of the same color, the same shape, the same style, or unique colors, unique shapes, unique styles, or entirely unique. So you can see that you have to maintain at least one of the same category and the others unique or entirely unique. And that's about it. And so you can play on the home screen if you just want to practice, or you can play a real game. I also added decals, so if you want additional accessibility, especially for, color differentiation and things like this, you can also put these decals on. I also added these things I called reps, which automatically restarts the game at various checkpoints that you can set up for doing things like grinding to get a particular score. And so I'll demonstrate what it's like to play the game. And you can see there's additional visual indicators to just, make it feel good to play. And yeah, that's what it's kind of like. So if we jump back over to our little deck here, I can talk about how this actually works. So I didn't want to build a rage game, so I intentionally designed it so that it's impossible for there to be no matches. So you have this game board, and if we pull from the pool, now we have our setup, and it's guaranteed that there will be matches here. So let's match one of these. It goes back into the pool and grabs a new set that is guaranteed to allow for another match when it goes into the board. So there's no way that this can be no matches. Now, since this match is here, we actually could do anything here and not actually create additional matches. There's another one here, another one here, another one, so there's a number of more. So if we put these over, we can do another match like one of the ones I mentioned, and then we'll pull these in and now we can do more matches. So for those with additional interest on things like rendering, I started simple. I was just doing naive shape drawing, but despite this being an absurdly simple game, my phone was getting hot. And I was using a lot of vertices so that these things were very smooth, just because that was the kind of look and feel I wanted. But I actually rebuilt them to be assigned distance fields. And so this is what it's like. So here's a circle, a filled circle. It's probably one of the simplest demonstrations. So I also visualize them in the form that IQ did in some of his famous blog posts. And so here the circle is described by the length of the pixel to the center of the circle minus the radius. So when you're doing shaders, you are processing per pixel. And so you're describing the shape from the perspective of a single pixel. And so this allows you to do it in a single pass of the texture to describe exactly what the shape looks like, which is a really efficient way to do this. And with that, the game got considerably more efficient. And so now you can see a bunch of different of these shapes. The stroke is more complicated, as is the triangle. And the masked versions, we just swapped the colors. So it's effectively the same as the filled variations. And that is Squares. I had a lot of fun building it and playtesting it. And I've played it for longer than it took to build. It took about 12 or 14 hours to put together. You can go play the game at squares.app, sqrz.app. I also put it on the iOS store. So yeah, thanks so much for watching.